celebrating 48 years on the air. Award-winning Farmweek is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, now that we know the results of the election, what's likely to happen in agriculture? In Southern gardening, mum's the word. You've heard it before, but maybe not this way. On the lighter side, a couple gives up the rat race for some country livin' and a little hee-haw. And during Veterans Day week at MSU, horses, helping GIs heal emotional traumas. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Thanks again for joining us on Farm Week. Well, the election results are in, of course, and the next administration and Congress are already taking shape. Meanwhile, how does it all affect agriculture? Will the Farm Bill pass sooner rather than later? David Miller has our election recap.
Amidst congratulations from foreign leaders, domestic agricultural groups, and his opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, former President Donald Trump capped a nearly two-year-long campaign run by being elected the 47th President of the United States.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great.
On the campaign trail, Trump laid out a few of his plans for the agricultural sector. These included telling John Deere that any of its equipment made on production lines moved from the U.S. and then sent back to the United States would be subject to a 200% tariff. As the 45th president, Trump imposed tariffs on more than $300 billion worth of goods imported from China. The move kicked off the 2018 tariff war that devastated U.S. exports of corn and soybeans. Despite the initial effect on farmers, those tariffs have remained in place throughout the Biden presidency. Economists agree the cost of tariffs are paid by the companies that import the goods and the customers who make the final purchases. The president-elect has also stated he will reinforce the country's southern border and deport all of the estimated 11 million undocumented, some of which allegedly have jobs on the nation's farms and in its meatpacking facilities. However, the president-elect wants migrant labor to legally cross the border to work in the U.S. Colorado residents rejected Measure 309, an issue covered by Market to Market, which would have banned packing plants inside the Denver city limits. 60% of South Dakotans rejected a ballot initiative that would have protected carbon sequestration pipelines through a requirement that local governments prove to state regulators their restrictions on pipeline locations were reasonable. The Dakotas joined Florida in defeating statewide ballot initiatives for the legalization of recreational marijuana, while Nebraska approved measures legalizing medical uses and regulating the industry.
A new update on the continuing bird flu outbreak affecting U.S. farmers. The CDC recently revised its worker protection guidelines to mitigate transmission from cattle to humans. This after 46 confirmed cases of human infection. These standards are more of a reiteration of best management practices.
According to MedPage Today, 7% of workers on dairy farms in Michigan and Colorado with H1N1 infected cows tested positive for the virus. These findings have caused the CDC to revise their worker protection standards. Among the workers positive for bird flu, only 4 reported any symptoms, conjunctivitis or an eye infection, while the rest reported no symptoms at all. The new standards are a strong recommendation of already existing ones, including personal protective equipment or PPE, such as safety glasses and respirators or other breathing masks. Dr. Nirav Shah, Principal Deputy Director of the CDC, stated that these are an intensification to focus on the highest exposure tasks in poultry and dairy operations, ultimately to reduce the risk of infection. The new recommendations are also a call to widen testing to make sure asymptomatic workers are given treatment. Dr. Shah added that this active case finding reduces the likelihood that a mild infection could turn into a severe infection, or that the infection spreads to anyone else. The CDC has also expanded the availability of Tamiflu to those with high risk but show no symptoms. The most common jobs associated with H1N1 transmission are tasks relating to milking cows or culling infected poultry.
Dr. Jonathan Moon at Mississippi State University has said bird flu transmission remains a low public health risk, and that is echoed by CDC scientists, hoping the new standards will lessen the flu impact even further.
On the lighter side, one couple in New Germany, Minnesota recently traded in big city life for life on a farm. Now they're raising donkeys, and they say throw out everything you think you know about them. John Lauritsen has more.
Diesel is a cooney pig. He's the little guy in the middle that's spotted.
A visit to Brett and Kelly McNally's farm is like a visit to a zoo. There are sheep, goats, cats, and if you want to talk to the McNallys, you have to get past the cattle.
We have Highland cattle. This is Savannah and Sweet Pea.
As social as these guys are, the farm really belongs to one animal.
We're coming, babies!
Good morning, babies.
A couple years ago, Brett and Kelly left city life for country living, in part because they wanted to find a place to raise both mammoth donkeys and mini donkeys.
One day, my daughter sent me this video about donkeys, about this girl and this donkey, and I totally fell in love.
We are very spontaneous people, generally speaking, so we just kind of rolled with it.
That meant learning about donkey farming on the fly. They quickly found out the animals build close bonds with people.
Look at that.
Veterinarians even say they become depressed when they're by themselves.
What he's saying right now is that I'm here and why isn't anyone paying attention to me?
They can also be very protective, even the mini ones.
We have a bear out here, coyotes, bobcats, and you would see the tracks of those all throughout this pasture. Once we got the donkeys, you won't see another track from a predator.
It's believed that donkeys are smarter than most dogs. They've been known to open up doors on their own and let themselves out of the barn.
The reason we got into the mammoth donkeys is there's very few people breeding them in the U.S., and we want to help support that breed as well.
The McNallys also want to help increase the number of miniature donkeys, those that are 36 inches tall or shorter. Over the past 2 months, Bianco and Romeo became the newest members of Hee-haw Hollow.
Within an hour, they're walking, wobbling. Within 2 hours, they're running up and down the pasture.
The little ones are part of the inspiration behind the Fancy Farmer, a cafe that Brett and Kelly are opening in New Germany.
It will be donkey themed. We will have a small little fenced in area where we will bring the donkeys up so that people can come see a donkey.
The couple hopes their customers get a kick out of their donkeys as much as they do. An animal that comes in all shapes and sizes with a people-pleasing personality.
Good boy. They're so loving, so compassionate. I feel like they are really in tune with people.
It's the love. I mean, to come down and get a hug from an animal, have them put their head on your shoulder and just be happy to just stand there and just have you hug them as long as you want to hug them.
This week in our Southern Gardening segment, Mum's the Word. According to Eddie Smith, he showcases chrysanthemums, mums, and says you can't beat them for fall color. Here's Gary from Wesson, Mississippi, about 50 miles south of Jackson.
Chrysanthemums, or mums, are a classic choice for fall decorations, offering vibrant colors that make them perfect for the season. Today, Southern Gardening is visiting Buds and Blooms Nursery in Wesson, Mississippi, admiring some of their beautiful mums. With a wide variety of colors, including vibrant yellow, deep orange, rich red, soft purple, and crisp white, mixing different hues of mums can create a stunning autumn display that captures the essence of the season. The rich palette of mums allows you to create eye-catching arrangements that can brighten up any space. Pairing mums with other fall decor elements like pumpkins, gourds, and hay bales can provide a cohesive look that celebrates the harvest season. For an even more dynamic effect, grouping multiple pots of different colors and heights can enhance visual interest and create depth. To create textured displays, consider pairing mums with ornamental grasses, which add movement and softness. Maintaining your mums is straightforward. Keep the soil consistently moist, especially in containers, as they prefer well-drained soil. Regularly deadheading spent blooms will encourage new growth and maintain a tidy appearance throughout the season, ensuring that your display remains vibrant for as long as possible. Overall, mums are a versatile and vibrant option for fall decorations, adding warmth and cheer to your autumn displays. I'm Eddie Smith, and I will see you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a break right here, but don't go away. Coming up in our Farm Week feature, horses helping veterans heal from their traumas. It's a special feature story during Veterans Day week, a program at Mississippi State University Extension designed to use the intuitive and healing nature of horses to help former GIs regain confidence and stability. You'll meet a veteran whose story of continuing recovery is both powerful and inspiring. A Veterans Week special coming up. Don't go away.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith, and their right to make their own plans and arrive at their own decisions, and their ability and power to enlarge their lives and plan for the happiness of those they love. I believe that education, of which extension work is an essential part, is basic in stimulating individual initiative, self-determination, and leadership. That these are the keys to democracy, and that people, when given facts they understand, will act not only in their self-interest, but also in the interest of society. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations, and their faith. I believe in intellectual freedom to search for and present the truth without bias and with courteous tolerance toward the views of others. I believe that education is a lifelong process, and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
Time for the market report. Is widely talked about, prices headed up.
That's right. Looks like bullishness wasn't confined to just Wall Street, and we'll get into it. But first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then, this month's WASDE report. What did it say? And finally, an expert weighs in on what's growing the row crop markets. So, markets closed the week moving up. Livestock pretty much the only fly in that ointment. Let's take a look. The week's biggest gain, lumber up $33.50, a 6% increase from the previous week. The week's biggest loss, lean hogs, down nearly 3.5 cents, and over a 4% decrease from the previous week. So, in lieu of the election, markets also had this month's WASDE report to chew on. Biggest takeaways, mostly row crops, namely soybeans and corn. But livestock also something to watch. Here's what it said.
U.S. wheat supplies up on higher imports. Domestic use also up due to more food use. Exports unchanged. Ending stocks increased. And season average farm price $5.60 per bushel. Global wheat supplies projected to increase due to higher production in Kazakhstan. Consumption also up, mostly due to feed and residual use. World trade slightly lower along with ending stocks. U.S. corn production down 60 million bushels from last month, along with a reduction in yield. Harvested area unchanged along with total use. Ending stocks down and season average farm price $4.10 per bushel. Global corn production up, mainly due to increases in Uganda, Malawi, Belarus, Mozambique, Kenya, and Cameroon. Imports down for China and Malawi, but up for Mexico, Vietnam, Turkey, and Peru. U.S. long grain rice exports down, short grain exports up, but combined, exports overall decreasing. Ending stock increased 19% from last year. Season average farm price unchanged. Global rice supplies up, mostly on higher production in India. Domestic and residual use also up, along with trade. Ending stocks up 500,000 tons. U.S. soybean production down due to less yields. Exports lower due to less supplies and sales. Crush also down due to domestic disappearance in exports. Season average farm price unchanged at $10.80 per bushel. Global soybean production down mostly due to less production in the U.S. and India. Exports raised on higher shipments from Brazil, Canada, and Benin. Ending stocks down mostly due to less stocks in the U.S., Brazil, and Argentina. U.S. beef production up on higher dressed weights and slaughter. Pork production down on slower pace of slaughter and dressed weights. Broiler and turkey production raised while egg production lowered due to hens culled from HPAI. U.S. milk production raised due to higher output per cow, offsetting lesser cow numbers. All milk price for 2024 lowered to $22.75 per hundredweight. U.S. cotton production up while yield unchanged despite a lessening crop in Texas. Exports lowered due to less global consumption and imports. Ending stocks raised while season average farm price unchanged at 66 cents per pound. Global cotton production lowered, with largest reductions for Pakistan and Turkmenistan. Consumption also down mostly on reductions in Turkey and Pakistan. Ending stocks lowered with largest reductions in Turkey and Pakistan.
With that context in mind, the experts say there's something here affecting the markets. Soybeans and corn the name of the game for now, and market analyst Matt Bennett goes into what the analysts are looking at.
The interesting thing, maybe more so than the report though, has been, spreads have been awfully strong. Basis has increased or narrowed, if you will. You've seen the grower get an opportunity at some cash prices that look vastly different than they did in the thick of harvest. And so lead story-wise, I'd say your cash corn price looks awfully attractive as compared to what we've been talking over the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. The thing you got to be cautious with whenever it comes to soybeans, okay, so this report, we took quite a bit of air out of the sales. And so you go from 53.1 down to 51.7. That's a big drop. I mean, I don't recall a drop from October to November, anything close to this. And so, I mean, I have to go back and look, but I don't believe we've ever done this before. So with that being the case, the market, you would think, taking carry out all the way down to 470, that was a bullish report, clearly. The market didn't act like it was a bullish report, but we have had some strength. Post-election on Tuesday night, we were down 20 cents, and a lot of folks felt like, well, there's reason for that. Maybe China's going to back away from the export table. That had been widely discussed, but then here you sit at the end of the week, almost 50 cents off of those lows. So Friday's move, I'm not super concerned with it, but I did think it wasn't quite as good of a reaction as what you would expect with a report that was that bullish. Obviously, Brazil was extremely dry when they were supposed to be dry. But we turn off in October, and we got moisture down there. They started planting. They're on a normal pace. Sometimes in a La Nina environment, they get wetter actually later in the growing season as well. They stay wet. We've had instances like that. I don't think that total overall production looks like it's at a major issue at this point. As far as U.S. production, though, for next year, there's a lot of correlation between a very dry September and October. Everyone was dry, and the drought monitor will show you that. But by all means, this rain was very much welcome that we had over the last week to 10 days. Fortunately, river levels came up just a little bit, and we've got to hope that continues to happen.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets. The election certainly had an effect. WASDE did too. But let's not count out weather and supply trends in place before the big news events. As the year closes out and we take stock of harvest, those will be the real factors. Mike?
Thanks, Zach. Earlier this week, Veterans Day, honoring the service of those who've served our nation in uniform. Here at Mississippi State, a program to help veterans heal from the traumas of their service with the help of horses. We showcase that program through the story of Kevin Hamilton. The few, the proud, the Marines, a recruiting slogan to be sure, but far more than that for some, including Kevin Hamilton. Raised in Houston, Mississippi, he entered the Marine Corps as a machine gunner, eventually moving to security forces. He earned a Combat Action Ribbon for his service in Albania, and he served for 2 years on the carrier USS Independence, which sailed in the Persian Gulf and numerous other patrol zones around the globe. His training, as you might expect, was rigid, forceful, and some of it he is not allowed to talk about even now, decades after he left active duty.
I used to play video games a lot.
But his time in the military magnified a rough childhood, and it left him riddled with anxiety, isolated, defensive, and often overreactive and unable to relate to others.
Got to a point where I couldn't go into a restaurant and eat if there was too many people or the noise level was too loud. And then certain sounds would just cause anxiety attacks, and just dealing with the public, people in general, was kind of hard.
Kevin sought help, and a therapist referred him to the Equine Facilitated Veterans Support Program offered by Mississippi State University Extension. A full-time truck driver, he says it's been a godsend, helping him pull back from potential road rage incidents before they happen.
You're trying to stay safe down the road, and they're cutting across your front bumper, or they're brake checking you, and it's getting harder and harder to deal with without going into road rage yourself.
He's been in the program for months now, and everyone agrees there's been good progress. He's thankful for the intuitive power of horses to help heal his traumas, though he's mindful of those vets who haven't been so fortunate.
I got this band here. It says 22 a day. That's how many veterans on average take their own lives a day. They basically decide that they probably would have been better off if they had died in combat. That's the conclusion they come to. And it's 22 too many. And if you do the math, I think it's over 8,000 veterans a year.
Emotionally, he's just in a different place. He seems happier. He seems more outgoing. He engages with the other veterans in the program. He's not as isolated. He sends things to me all the time to read and view, and so we can discuss them and talk about them. He's more interested in what's going on around him and less isolated. I think these horses have made all the difference for Kevin.
Lori Irvin runs the Equine Assisted Learning programs at MSU Extension. She's a certified therapeutic riding instructor with a master's in counselor education, and says the horses have a language all their own, and it works.
I believe in it. I've seen it too many times. And I've had a lot of people tell me, I'm not going to believe that until I see it. And I just invite them to come out here and hang out. And we welcome visitors. If people want to do this work, I invite them to shadow me. We're always open to anybody. There will never be enough people doing this work. So if I can mentor someone or train someone or whatever I can do, I will do that, because this is such powerful work. Just because we can't explain it doesn't mean it doesn't work.
You can just tell that they're very empathetic to a person once that person is able to soften themselves and become super vulnerable. And I think that's part of the key, is that most people are scared to be vulnerable with other people, but they're also super scared to be vulnerable with horses. And once you can get to that level of vulnerability with a horse, the horse will show you everything you need to see.
It amazes you just how many little things they can pick up on, as far as, how you're feeling, your emotions. They can literally hear your heartbeat from like 4 feet away. And so that's pretty amazing. And you can see them reacting to you in real time.
Kevin says he's got more work to do, but he's inspired by this program offered at no charge by Extension. He'll stay in the saddle as long as he's able.
it's like the final puzzle piece to what I've been looking for the 27 years since I got out. You know you need something, but you don't know what it is. And then that final piece clicks into place, and then you know everything's gonna be okay. That's what this is for me personally. And that's what veterans need, is that final piece that's gonna click into place for them and help them transition back to civilian life.
The Vets Equine Assisted Program has recently moved to the horse park at MSU. If you'd like to know more, visit the Extension website online and search Equine Assisted Therapy. Well, next time on Farm Week, a familiar story, antibiotic use in animals and resistant bacteria.
But there's beginning to be an even larger concern about the resistance, and it's not just about farm animals, but about our pets too.
We head to Minnesota, where veterinarians are a little concerned about resistance and about the closeness of our physical space with animals. Their message: when we're treating your animals, we're treating the whole house. A warning next time on Farm Week.
Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching.